Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. It's a real pleasure to have you all, and I appreciate so many people coming out. My name is Todd Mount. I'm an attorney at Schaefer & Schaefer. Despite my profession, I promise not to talk your ear off today. I also happen to be the chair of the Board of Trustees of the foundation. I'm really proud to be part of this foundation, a group of really smart, really dedicated, really thoughtful, and really generous people. And I'd like to just recognize them briefly. Our vice chair is Deborah Sullivan, and I'm not sure she could be here today. Our secretary, Bob Orders, our past chair, Charlie Loeb, Ted Armbrecht, Dr. Jason Castle, Dr. Michelle Easton, Georgette George, Dickinson Gould, Monica Jansen, Sean Mayberry, Susan Shoemate, and Sandy Thomas. Thank you all for all of your hard work. I'm going to mention a couple of developments over the last year. One of the things that has been a very positive development is we obtained court approval just a month or two ago on what is called a trust conversion. As it's a dry subject already, I'm going to be brief about what this is. But when the foundation started in the 60s, the main method of preserving assets for charity and for foundations was through trusts that were generally administered by banks. And that was true through the early to mid 80s. At that point, there was a change in the law that permitted foundations to incorporate and hold funds itself, the foundation itself. So we had the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation, and then we formed the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation, Inc., which were entities that were managed together, administered together, and so forth. By a couple years ago, about half of our assets were still in trust form, and the other half were in the new custodial form under the incorporation, under the corporation. There was a recent change in the law that permitted us to seek court approval to transfer or convert the original trust assets into corporate form. And what that means, the short part of the story, is when things are held in trust like that, there are trustees that are responsible for that money at the banks, as well as other layers of cost in managing those assets. And the trustees' fees are a lot higher than what custodial fees are. And so the punchline of this is we expect to save hundreds of thousands of dollars per year due to this trust conversion. So it was a very complicated process, one that my wee brain may not have understood fully, but we had excellent leadership on this by Bob Orders, chair of the investment committee and the investment committee, as well as our legal counsel, Bowles Rice, Melody Simpson, and Emily Lambright. They really did an excellent piece of legal work on it. So we appreciate that. That was approved just a couple months ago, and we're very excited. One other thing I'll mention is by this time next year, we may not be in the same space we are now, but we'll definitely know where we're going. The current building that used to be the Huntington Banks building, they are not extending leases at this point. We've been in a diligent search for new space. It's a great committee of folks that really know what they're doing, so I'm glad to be part of it. I can hide behind them. And we have, after not really finding a lot of good options, we now have several good options that we're in negotiations with, and we're very hopeful that we'll have a deal in place sometime, within the next month or two. It takes a while to negotiate, but we should know by this time next year at least where we're going to be if we're not already there. So if you're looking for us next year, we'll be here, but we may not be in the same building. The only other thing I wanted to mention is a lot of people ask me, how can we give you money? But a lot of people ask, how does it work? What are the requirements? What's the structure? What are we giving up? How can we control how the money is spent, or try to designate how the money is spent? And we have a really easy answer to you. We will work with you to accomplish whatever ends that you want. Whatever ends that are permissible within the law, we'll work with you. You can donate money to us in a manner that it is endowed and that will be preserved by our investment policies and spent over time. If you want to give us cash and say, we want you to spend this on charitable activity by the end of this calendar year, we will do that. Now, that may sound a little fanciful, but we've actually had an anonymous donor who for the last 3 years has given us $1 million a year and said just that. Take this money and make an impact in the community, $1 million by the end of the year. And it's just amazing. It's been able to increase our impact by approximately 10%, depending on how the markets are in each of those years. And we're so grateful for that. But we could do the same thing with $1,000. We could do the same thing with anything in between. We can do it in a way that the donor designates how the money is spent. We can do it in a way that the donor advises how the money is spent. We can do it in a way that is completely unrestricted and lets our various committees apply it to whatever programs that we've vetted and approved and believe in under our pillars. We can do it in any of those ways, and we will work with you, and we're happy to work with you. So I just wanted to mention that because I'm sure many of you came with checkbooks today. One other thing, and I was just going to end with this because Michelle's going to give you the real report on the foundation. But I read a story recently about a fellow named Napoleon Hill. And many of you may remember who he is. He's basically the proto-Tony Robbins. He was active in the early part of the 1900s. He was paying his way through law school by interviewing very successful businessmen and publishing those interviews in a newspaper. That's how he was paying his law school tuition. He happened to interview Andrew Carnegie one day. It was scheduled for a couple-hour interview, and they ended up talking for 3 full days. And Andrew Carnegie told him, I believe that someone can put together the science of success if they do enough research, if they talk to enough people. And that became Napoleon Hill's life work. He ended up interviewing somewhere north of 25,000 people. In the conversation with Andrew Carnegie, the advice was, don't just talk to the people that were successful, talk to the people that weren't. Those people will teach as many lessons, if not more. So in his time, Napoleon Hill interviewed about 500 very successful businessmen of the day. And the rest of that 25,000 are people that weren't so successful or may not have been successful at all. What caught my eye about this story is that Napoleon Hill himself engaged in several business ventures over time and had some successes and had some failures. And he wrote about having some failures at one point. And this is before the Depression and before his first book was published. He had really fallen into the way he describes it, what can only be described as a deep depression. And what he did was he said, I am, after languishing in this depression for some time, he said, I'm just going to walk and think until I figure out how I'm out of this. And he did that. He walked and he walked and he walked and he walked. And after a long time, he says that he was just seized by a realization. And I'm going to read it to you. His inner voice said to him, learn this lesson once and forever. You will find happiness only by helping others find it. And so I just wanted to share that message with you today because all of you in this room understand it. You've demonstrated it through your actions, through your volunteerism, through your donations. And we just want to say thank you for that. Thank you. We hope you have found that happiness. And we hope that the more that you give of yourself, the happier that you become. Now, I had already written that before I looked at the program, and it sure ties in with the quote on your program. I hadn't seen this until just now. Martin Luther King Jr. says, "An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity." So, Michelle, looks like we're on the same page here. Well, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the Foundation's President and CEO, Dr. Michelle Foster.
I didn't know Todd was a storyteller. It was pretty cool. Greetings, everyone. So wonderful to see you here today and to kick off another year at the Greater Canal Valley Foundation. I know there are a lot of visitors here today. We may have some elected officials in the room as well. I want to make sure that we acknowledge you and thank you for your service. I feel honored to lead this illustrious organization that ranks in the top 100 of community foundations nationwide, which also happens to be the largest community foundation in West Virginia and in Central Appalachia. Today I stand before you. It's not all about me. I stand before you today representing a dynamic team of professionals who are committed to the mission and vision of the foundation. Team members, as I call your name, please come forward. It's always good to put a face with the name, you know, when you call folks on the phone or email. So I want to make sure they don't particularly like this, but Kristen Mounts, our Chief Financial Officer, Christine Spalding, our Controller, Jane Powell, our Communications Director, and Jane is the one who works to curate this whole space. Stephanie Heyer, our Senior Program Officer. Stephanie was promoted this year. She handles our Education and Arts and Culture portfolio of grants. Megan Simpson, Health Program Officer. Todd Dorcas, Community Economic Development Program Officer. Susan Hoover, Scholarship Program Officer. Susan celebrated 20 years with the foundation this year. Derek Vance, Basic Needs and Special Initiatives. Candace Krell, our Grants Manager. Josh McClung, our Accountant. Angela Dobson, Financial Assistant. Sarah Furrow, Admin Assistant. And we want to make sure we give a special shout out, I know she's listening online, to Sherry Ryder, our former Senior Program Officer. Sherry, we salute your 16 years of service to the foundation. She retired at the end of last year. We also, yes. We also have two interns, a long-term intern and research assistant, Tyler Brewster, who's in between graduation and law school, WVU grad, and Lindsay Hunt, who is actually the donor for the Little Things Foundation, and she's a short-term intern running around with Jane here somewhere. So let's give it up for them, please. Thank you all for all that you do to make the foundation run so smoothly and so efficiently and effectively. I commend you on your unwavering support and dedication to our donors and our nonprofits. It's truly a joy to work with you. It takes a lot to run a foundation, a lot of expertise. So we have folks who are more behind the scenes, but they support us all year long. Our legal counsel, Melody Simpson and Emily, are they here somewhere? There they are. Let's give it up for him. Our investment advisor, Greg DeSisto with Prime Buck holds Midwest Evaluation and Research for their impact measurement and evaluation support, graphic design and event production, and all the pretty stuff that's about us, John Augie and Augie Gray and Drake. Our website, Cucumber and Company, on photography, Will Price. We appreciate all of you. Let's give it up, yep. Feel free to applaud. The foundation exists because this state has had and continues to have extraordinarily generous people. People who earn their riches through various means and whose love for their fellow man compel them to put that love into action by sharing their assets. These are people who believe that better is possible. Thank you to all of our donors. There are also these are over 100 people who give so liberally of their time and their talents in helping us to efficiently run our processes. First and foremost, Todd mentioned our board. We have a 13-member board. Todd is the chair, and we salute Charlie, who ended his term last year. Thank you, Charlie, for your leadership. Trustees, please stand and be recognized. I don't think they stood earlier. Please stand and wave so everyone can know who you are. Thank you for your commitment to the foundation. Please know that I appreciate your thoughtful insights as we work together to positively impact our community. In addition to our trustees, we've got volunteers on several committees, investment, scholarship distribution, program, finance, our task teams. We have folks who just volunteer readily and they show up every time we need them. Thank you to all of our volunteers. Those people, I know like scholarship, for example, we had 812 applications, right, Susan? We have people who read those applications. Amazing. Thank you so much for your service. Ladies and gentlemen, I have examined the essentials of our community foundation, including our assets under management, our donor base, our community investments, our processes, and everything that's all about us. It is my pleasure to report that the state of the foundation is solid. We continue to serve as a navigator for generous individuals and families and businesses interested in making West Virginia a better place to live, work, play, and raise a family. In our program, you can see our 2018 Financial Snapshot. We received $4.9 million in contributions, which is more than the $2.8 million we received in the previous year. We distributed close to $9.7 million in grants and scholarships. And Todd mentioned our anonymous donor, who we're indeed grateful for that special infusion of cash that has to go out into the community for worthwhile dental and emergency aid projects. At the end of 2018, you remember the market kind of tanked at the end of 2018. So at that time, our assets were $219 million. As of March 31st, they had rebounded to $240 million. As of a couple days ago, who knows where they are. But they'll come back up eventually. To those of you who made contributions during last year, thank you for caring enough to invest in your community via your community foundation. To those of you who received a grant last year, it is our pleasure to partner with you for positive community impact. Donor advised and donor designated funds make up 2/3 of our assets. And we processed, mainly Christine and Josh, processed over 700 grants in those two fund categories. For our discretionary program, we awarded 12 arts and culture grants to serve 43,000 individuals, 11 basic needs grants serving more than 18,000, 8 special initiative grants serving 12,000, and we made a $1 million commitment to the new Charleston Library. Furthermore, in our proactive area, we awarded 40 grants, serving more than 44,000 people. And please refer to your program for the different forms of wealth that will grow as a result of these grants. I'm also delighted to report that in 2018, we invested directly into the lives of 345 West Virginians through our statewide scholarship program. One of our newest funds, the Bridge of Hope Fund, that was established by Lynn Fruth, Fruth Pharmacy, for people in recovery from substance use disorders. That fund awarded 5 scholarships, but we're already on track to quadruple that amount for this year. The foundation is more than a source of funding. We're also about strengthening organizations like our nonprofit partners. So this past year, we presented a 2-day Sustainability Institute and offered individual evaluation and performance measurement coaching to our grantees, reaching over 150 individuals. We're also about keeping our partners abreast of developments in the sector. So we presented 2 seminars, one to our wealth management and accounting partners, one on the benefits of donor-advised funds versus private foundations, and another on nonprofit accounting updates, reaching about 60 folks. We also piloted the Table Talk Initiative, which is a mentoring program for beginning teachers. We reached 12 teachers through that initiative. And I think there was an article in the paper a couple of days ago. In 2018, one of our revered donors, Mrs. Betty Schonbaum, transitioned to glory at the age of 100. Mrs. Schonbaum was a force of nature. I've only met her by phone. A woman whose love for humankind has undoubtedly blessed many in the greater Kanawha Valley. She saw great value in working with our foundation to facilitate her sustained giving to a plethora of community organizations. Her relationship with the foundation started in 1972. With 57 years of history in the community, Mrs. Schonbaum knew that the foundation is adept at recognizing high-performing nonprofits that need funding and efficiently granting them the necessary resources for them to be effective. She worked with us because she knew that we would provide her customized support, like the splitting up of her large donor-advised funds into multiple donor-designated funds so that she can take care of those organizations she cared deeply about after her passing. Mr. Schonbaum knew that our professional staff have specific expertise in grant making, due diligence, and in identifying local community needs that other giving platforms like commercial donor-advised funds do not offer. Not only do we understand the needs of our community, but we also have the agility to respond to them quickly. She knew that the level of quality support we provide relieves burdens on our donors, who did not have to sift through an array of organizations of varying capacities and track records. We do that for our donors. Mr. Schonbaum taught me that the joy of giving is the joy of living. And giving to me includes giving of your time, your talents, and your treasures towards the betterment of humankind. If you believe that better is possible in our community and in our state, I encourage you to join us in becoming more through your giving. For us to believe that better is possible, it means that we have to be hopeful. Yes, we've got issues in West Virginia. That's no secret. We have challenges here, but all is not lost. We are better than our current circumstances. We have many leaders in the room today. Let me remind you that hope is at the core of leadership. Hope provides complete confidence, optimism, and enthusiasm for the work we're doing. Hope propels us to push a little harder, to keep fighting, and to persevere through difficulties. Hope delivers the belief that we need to keep working and gives focus to the outcomes we desire. So let us remain hopeful as we take action to make the Greater Kanawha Valley better and the state of West Virginia better. And as the quote says on your program, an individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. And that is what change makers are about. That is the charge that change makers have received in their hearts. Therefore, it is with great joy that I present 3 Changemaker Awards to nonprofit partners who have exemplified innovation, resilience, and collaborative spirit. In our education priority area, the Changemaker Award goes to Step by Step. Please turn your attention to the screen.
I'm Michael Tierney. I'm Executive Director and founder of Step by Step, a community education and leadership nonprofit that serves Lincoln, Logan, and Kanawha counties. We have 13 after-school programs that solidifies down to about a half a dozen summer programs. And the goal there is we want to follow kids year in, year out. Our framework we call is West Virginia Dreamers. And the idea is if you support kids' dreams, then they will gain confidence in themselves as learners. And that's the ultimate transferable skill. And so the current program that Greater Kanawha Valley is involved with is an outgrowth of that. To have that happen, kids need a lot of individualized attention. They need a community of support, but they also need somebody affirming them, following them day in, day out. And that's where mentoring has emerged as our central strategy for providing continuity in kids' lives.
In our programs, we really focus on 3 main components where we have a hot food program. So every kid, every single day will have opportunities to get a supper and a snack. We also have the educational component where any student who comes in will get homework help from our staff members. And then we have a STREAM component, which integrates the science, technology, reading, engineering, arts, and maths into their day. So the great part about that is that they're learning with hands-on opportunities that they maybe not get maybe in a setting at their house. And they're also getting an opportunity to do some physical fitness activities, as you kind of see here with our program today. But it's a safe place for the kids to be. We know between 3 and 7 o'clock, that is a high risk time for students. And we know that if students don't have anything to do during that 3 to 7 o'clock time, they're more at risk to get into trouble. They may find some negative opportunities that they can get involved in. And we want to give them a positive outlet for their lives.
If you're going to work in a community, you have to be collaborative. And that's one of the things we've really treasured about our relationship with Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation over the years is they get collaboration. Some people think collaboration is getting as many letters of support as possible. And true collaboration means that you share resources, you don't worry about who's getting the credit. The goal is whatever population you want to serve, or whatever goal you want to achieve, it happens. And you all pitch in however you can. You just had to get those kids served. And I think that is a testimony to people's willingness. If you're on the front lines working in these toughest communities, you just want to see these kids served. You don't care. But I think it's also a testimony of the foundation because it gets collaboration, and they were able to kind of rush us through to be able to get some emergency funding with us.
We believe in a holistic an aspect on how we can approach these kids, and knowing that if we're a part of their lives in school and after school and in the community, ultimately we're going to see our community change and we're going to see our kids to grow. We want to love those who the world may deem unlovable or undeserving of love. And that's one big aspect showing value to kids and families who may not see that every day.
Step by step. Come on up. I'm trying to get the photographer. In our Community Economic Development Priority area, the Changemaker Award goes to Future of Nursing, West Virginia.
I'm Ayla Achad, and I'm the Executive Director of the Future of Nursing West Virginia, which is an action coalition. Now, nursing, when Florence Nightingale created nursing, the whole focus of nursing is helping people get and stay well. So the Institute of Medicine realized that in order to turn this big healthcare ship around and focus more on health promotion and wellness, they were going to need nurses to step up, become more leaders in healthcare, and really do what nurses do well, which is helping people get and stay well. And so we partnered with the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation to help us develop a project to get nurses more into that mindset, to realize that innovation, addressing the person, the community need, and so on, that they have the ability to do this. And we have more and more nurses who are now stepping up.
When I decided that I wanted to do something different, was when I wanted to take the care that I give and bring it outside of the exam room. I wanted to have people see my care from the time that they call to make an appointment to the time that they see me to the time that they leave. And I wanted to showcase it in my own space. Finding the Future of Nursing was really a coalition that I found and a support system that I've come in contact with. As a nurse entrepreneur, it's really, you're kind of alone. I felt alone, a little bit to start because I didn't know what to do exactly. I didn't know how to start a business. I didn't know how to write a business plan. I've never managed or have been a boss of employees before. I've never had to offer health insurance and, pay for CMEs for other providers. So having to start out on your own and work through all the goods, the bads, the uglies, the tears, the cries, the laughs, all of it, finding the future of nursing and having a system that we can all talk and relate and supply information to one another, and just to be there to support, say, that was me too, or how can we help you? It's been a real game changer for me to be able to have someone that I can call or say, hey, what is your opinion on this? Or, hey, what can we do to make this better for the next one in line? I think it's now is so important for nurse entrepreneurs. If you have that spark, if you have that inkling or something that you think you may want to do, now's the time to think about doing it. And now's the time you have a support system that's there to help you. If you have a dream, you can do it. You just need to know the proper channels to do that. You need help, and it's there and it's available. And I'm happy that with the Future of Nursing and with the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation, that this is a platform that we can give support to these people.
Future of Nursing representatives. And in our health priority area, the Changemaker Award goes to Community Access.
My name is Martha Minter. I'm the Assistant Director at Community Access. I also am the co-owner with my husband Pete of Red Barn Stables. Red Barn Stables is a place where we provide opportunity for people to achieve whatever healing they wish to achieve through our equine-assisted therapy, wellness, and learning activities that we have with our horses. Horses can be so beneficial to human beings. Horses, as prey animals, are very attuned to their environment. They are constantly attuned to their environment for their very survival. They are happiest when they're living in a herd, and they look out for one another, and they can read intentions of the others that are around them. So horses give us humans this fabulous feedback because they will react to what's going on with us, but they stay in the very present. And it helps us be present because we humans are so good at bottling up old things and keeping this stuff bottled up within us. And then we're also so good at worrying about the future. So horses help us stay right now. And so that's, I think, some of the beauty of this work. The Greater Cornwall Valley Foundation has been so wonderfully supportive of this work. And I think it exemplifies how it's supposed to work, where it's not an automatic handout, it's an expectation that we get that startup money to get something going, to be able to show how things work. Because a lot of times one almost has to do demonstration kinds of projects for other people to see it and go, oh, that makes sense, when they can see it and touch it and feel it. And explaining this work is rather difficult. It's when people say, I want to know about this work, I'll say, well, you just need to come out and do it with us. And because and again, how do you quantify that is really hard, but it's the experiential aspect of things. That essentially our role is to make sure people stay emotionally and physically safe and let that work between the humans and the horses unfold and not interfere with it.
Community access reps. Aren't these kind of really innovative, cool stuff? I mean, it's exciting. We get excited about the projects when they come through. The awards were designed by West Virginia artist John Larson, and I believe John is here. Where's John? There he is. Thank you for your work. Thanks again for everyone who came here today. Thank you to our grantees, our donors. Thank you so much.